Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to do a video on some makeup tips for beginners. So I just filmed this video like 20 minutes ago and I realized it didn't have any audio to it. So here I am filming it again. So this isn't going to be like an in-depth step-by-step how to do your makeup because that could take like an hour and no one would watch that. So I'm just going to tell you a couple of my like top tips if you're starting out in makeup or you know a little bit about makeup but like want to hear some helpful tips. Keep on watching. But before we get on with it, make sure to subscribe below. It would really help me out. And like this video if you enjoy these tips. Okay, now let's get on with it. Okay, so first I'm going to go over some tools that are just super helpful in stepping up your makeup game. And the first tool I'm going to talk about is the Beauty Blender. I know there are so many dupes out there and that people love or whatever, but I have not found a dupe that is as good as the original Beauty Blender. The density is perfect. The softness of it, like I don't know, just no other sponge that I've tried is as good as this. And when you use the Beauty Blender, or any sponge for that fact, you need to dampen it. Go to the sink, run it under water, go like this until it's damp. Because it is a sponge, and if you don't use it damp, it will absorb anything you're trying to blend. So you're not going to get an even coverage, you're not going to get really any coverage because it's all going into the sponge. So make sure you use it damp. And now I'm going to talk about some brushes that are just really useful and should be in everyone's makeup kit. They aren't expensive. Most of them are like Wet n Wild or Morphe, so they're like under $6 each. They're not going to break the bank, and they're going to like step up your makeup game so much. So first I'm going to talk about face brushes. The first face brush I'm going to talk about is just a fluffy big old brush. So once you put liquid makeup on, like foundation and concealer, you're going to want to set it with some sort of powder so it doesn't like melt off your face throughout the day. Powder really helps with longevity. And just a big fluffy brush to just pack that on your whole face is going to be the best and most efficient way to do it. Yeah, I'll link some of the brushes down below in the description box. So if you guys like want to go buy these exact brushes, you can just click on the link and go get them. And then after you set, the first thing that I do in my makeup routine is bronzer. And I use this little domed bronzer brush. And you're going to want to put bronzer in the hollows of your cheeks. So when you go like this, right in there. And then along with that, you're also going to want to do the perimeters of your face, like where sun naturally is going to hit your forehead. So you're going to want to put bronzer there. And then I put some bronzer down here to kind of get rid of my double chin, like give the illusion that I have a jawbone. I really like this brush. It doesn't have to be specifically this brush. People use a lot of different brushes for bronzer, but I like this kind. Next brush is a blush brush. Now when you get a blush brush, you're going to want it to be not too dense, kind of like a little bit fluffier, because if you get a dense blush brush, you're probably going to end up with clown cheeks. Like it's going to deposit too much color. Whereas if you have a fluffy brush, it blends out easily. Like you don't have to worry about clown cheeks. And I use an angled brush just because, I don't know, it's just what I use. But I would recommend a separate brush for your blush, because if you use like your bronzer or your big fluffy brush, you're going to end up with blush in places that you don't want it. And you might look crazy. So I would recommend getting a separate blush brush. And last for the face brushes is a highlighting brush. And for highlighter, you're going to want a small, fluffy brush. I use this one from Wet n Wild. You can tell it's very fluffy. It's not dense. And you're going to want a small brush to only deposit highlight on that cheekbone, because it's going to look crazy if you get it all down in here in your blush. You're just going to want it where the sun would naturally hit. And you're going to want it to be fluffy and not dense, because if you have too dense of a brush, you're going to end up with a streak of highlighter that's not blended out, that just looks silly. So you're definitely going to want it to be blended out. That's like the major key of makeup, just blending. One tip, whole video, blend. Yeah, a brush like this is a major key. So now I'm going to move on to eye brushes and eyeshadow kind of in general. So when you're beginning an eye look, you're going to want to start with a transition shade. And a transition shade is going to be a matte. And if you're doing a neutral look, it's going to be a matte neutral brown that's like 2 shades darker than your natural skin tone. For example, in this palette, a great transition shade would be like that one, or this one, or this one. And what putting a transition shade down does, you're going to put it in your crease, which is it's right below your brow bone. If you can feel that bone right there, your crease starts right below it. You're going to take a fluffy brush. Mine's very dirty, but you're going to take a fluffy blending brush like this in one of those matte brown shades, and you're going to put that all in your crease. What this does is it makes it easier for your eyeshadow look to be blended out if you already have that base color down in your crease. But you don't want it to be just like a streak of brown in there. You want to blend it out with a fluffy brush like this. A tip with eyeshadow is always put lighter colors on the inside of your eyes and darker colors on the outside. And the best way to deposit color on the inside is with a small packer brush like this. Some great colors out of this palette are like this one, or some of the like pinky shades up here to put like on the inner half of your eye. And the dense packing brush is really going to deposit that color well and make it super saturated on your eye. And then what I usually do is go in with another matte color, usually an even darker brown, like maybe that one right there or that one right there, and put that on the outer corner of the eye. And I'll usually use a fluffy brush like this so that I don't deposit too much color on accident, and I can blend it into that transition shade that we had in the beginning. So you can kind of see with this, I kind of did the blue version of it today, where I did a blue transition with a light blue shiny inner half and a dark blue outer corner. And then the last brush I'm going to show you is a pencil brush, and I use this to highlight my nose, highlight the inner corner of your eye. You're going to want to do that with like a super bright color, and highlight the brow bone. So a pencil brush is like multifaceted. You can use it in a lot of different scenarios. And then one last tip with eyeshadow would be to put eyeshadow on your lower lash line. It makes your look so complete and makes you look like you know what you're doing. So I usually go in with the packer brush that we were showing earlier. And to start out, I would try just dipping it in that transition shade, the one that we put in the crease, and smudging it on your lower lash line and blending it out. It just brings a little more depth to your eyes and finishes off the look. Okay, the next tip I'm going to talk about is for mascara. So basically every time I do my mascara, I get it on my eyelid, and you know how it's such a pain to get off. Like, you try to get it off with a Q-tip or something and it smudges and you ruin your whole eye look and you have to start over, and it's always the worst, right? So instead of trying to take it off immediately, just wait a couple minutes and go do something else. I usually go do my brows, and then I come back to it once the mascara has completely dried on my lid, and I'll take just kind of a stiff brush and flick it off, because once it's dry, you can just flick it off without it smudging or moving anything. So that is a great tip. I would recommend doing that 100%. I pretty much do it every day, and it works really, really well. I just realized I have like little specks of matcha on my white shirt, and I'm like really upset about it, and I'm trying to find a Tide to Go stick. I don't really have that many tips for like lips, but my one recommendation would be, if you're a beginner, I would stay away from matte liquid lipstick. I would stick to like gloss, regular bullet lipstick, or a velvet liquid lipstick. Matte liquid lipsticks are just really hard to work with. They dry quickly, so if you mess up, like, it's game over. They can feel just kind of gross on your lips, and they're just kind of a hassle. So I would stick to gloss, regular lipstick, or a velvet liquid lipstick, because all of those you can like wipe off easily and do it again and reapply easily, and it's just so much less of a hassle. I would just avoid matte liquid lipstick. And I like haven't really been into matte lips recently. I've been kind of like enjoying the like glossy, velvety look, so jump on this train. So those are all the tips that I have for you guys. Hopefully the freaking audio worked on this video. I'm gonna be so upset if it didn't. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you want to see some more of my content. So yeah, stay on fleek, friends. Bye.